So, hi everyone, thank you very much for watching or listening. Liam Hartley here today with another episode of Presenting Champions, and today we're going to be looking inside the life of professional point karate fighter Robbie Lavoie, who has won an absolutely astonishing list of titles, tournaments, and all the rest of it. We've got a few of them here, although I'm told this is just the tip of the iceberg of what he has accomplished in the sport and the world. So starting at the beginning, WKC World and Overall Champion, WAKO World Champion, multiple-time Quebec Open Overall Grand Champion. I've got a list of them here that you sent me. Bristol Open Grand Champion, American Lightweight Grand Champion, Irish Open 57 to 63 kg winner, Best Fighter WAKO World Cup. So those are just a few of his achievements that I actually sent me on a list. There's a lot more, and today we're going to be talking about what it takes to make it to the highest level of professional combat sports, what it takes to make a champion. So that's enough of me talking about you in third person there, champ. Thank you very much for making time to talk with me today and taking time out of your day, man. I really appreciate that, sincerely.
My pleasure, man, and thank you for asking me. I love doing stuff like this, and it's always a pleasure, and it's always fun for me to do with you guys.
Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, obviously you've had this prestigious career, you've accomplished everything you've accomplished. I don't always do things in this order, but with you, I think going back to the beginning and how you first started competing, how you became interested in martial arts and things like that is going to be a good place to start because people see, people like yourself at the high level and they don't realize that it wasn't always like that. It often started very differently with baby steps and so on and so forth. So going back in time a little bit to your early years of competition training, what lit the fire inside of you to want to become a champion and the person that you are today, basically?
Oh man, it's cool. Like I started karate and martial arts when I was 5 years old. Just like I'm 36, so the Ninja Turtles were super popular when I was a little guy, and I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And Michelangelo is my favorite. And then I'm a smaller person, right? So my parents thought it'd be a good idea for me to start martial arts, get into it, learn some self defense and stuff like that, how to deal with like bullies and stuff like that. And then I think I did my first open sport karate tournament. I was probably like an orange belt or a green belt. I was probably about 7 years old or so. And I did well. I got first place in my sparring category and stuff like that. And then I didn't really compete a lot after that until I was about a brown belt, and I wanted to try out, and it was 17 and under, and I think the lightest weight class at that time was like minus 80 pounds or something like that. And I was small, right? I was probably only about 50 pounds, 55 pounds. I was like 9 years old, and I just missed out on making the Canadian national team to go to the World Championships. I got third place. They were taking the top two competitors per division, and I lost, and I was pretty upset about it. And I was young too, so I'm happy at the time that I did. I look back at it now, like I was obviously very upset at a young age that I didn't qualify and stuff like that. But looking back, I'm happy because that's kind of where it kind of took off for me. I really enjoyed. I've always enjoyed to this day, like even once my career is done, I love training and I love being in the gym. It's kind of like my escape from reality, like when I'm in that gym for the hour or two, nothing else really matters but me working on my craft and working on my skill set and just working on my mentality too and my mind and clearing my mind and everything. So yeah, after I didn't qualify, about 6 or 7 months later, I got my black belt. And then the following year, I changed super hard and like I started competing a little bit more. and I qualified for the national team that year to go to the World Championships. This was 1996, and it was my first World Championships. I was 10 years old. I qualified and I won a gold medal at that World Championships as well. So that's where it kind of took off from there. I've been competing, yeah, for forever, right? Like I'm 36 now, so that was about 26 years ago now, which is crazy to think about. And then the couple years later, I lost the following year at the World Championships. I got a silver medal. The year after that, I got a silver medal as well. And then I got back to winning that gold in 1999 afterwards. But yeah, just that's where the fire lit under me. I love competing. I think the the individual sport was always for me. It was just like I've never, like, when I was young, I was a super shy kid. I wasn't super outgoing, and I think I just at a young age, I felt I was always working hard. I loved training. It was like for a kind of a way for me to express myself because I didn't really talk to a lot of people. I was a quiet kid, and it was a way for me to just kind of get things out there, just to express myself a little bit. And when I'm in the ring, kind of show my personality, or when I'm training and stuff like that. So I always enjoyed the one-on-one discipline of it, and always if if I won or lost, it was nobody else's fault but mine. Because um, when I did play team sports, or even it's still to this day, like when I go play sports with my friends, like I'm like, man, you suck. You missed that shot, or you missed this, you missed that. But like, even though I mess up more than they do too, because they play those other sports more than I do, because I'm always training martial arts and stuff like that for my fights and competition. So yeah, just yeah, that's kind of where it all stemmed from. I just started when I was 5, and then started competing. I got my butt kicked, and yeah, just lit a fire under my butt.
That is amazing. First of all, I mean, quite a few things about that. The amount of years you've been competing, that's an amazing achievement in itself. Turning a negative into a positive, obviously, has to be mentioned, from being shy to using that as a way to express yourself. Not that being shy is a negative, but turning a situation that could have been more like that into a positive situation. I've got a lot of respect for all of that, and it's a really good
Thank you,
some
man.
really good life lessons in there as well. Obviously, from the sound of it, you started having success at quite a young age and everything. Did you always believe that you would be sort of still going, this many years later, and you'd reach the sort of dizzy heights that you've got to now with world titles and all of these sorts of things? In that early stage of your career, was that on your mind, or were you just sort of going from one competition to the next type of thing?
Well, when I was a young age, so from until I was about 16, like I was doing well. Like I competed a lot in like North America and internationally, like at the World Championships, and then on the NASCA circuit, the North American Sport Karate Association circuit, which is like one of the bigger circuits, or the biggest circuit in North America right now, and still, or then, and basically to this day. I had some success, but I also had some failures, and I was just having fun with it up until I was about 15, 16. I was having fun with it. I got to see my friends. I got to travel. I got to see cool places. And like I said, I love being in the gym, and I still do to this day. And then when I was about 16, I moved into the men's division, like the 18 plus division. They let me at some competitions, some competitions they didn't let me, right? But when I started fighting in the men's division, like I had some success, I had some failures those first few years, right? It's growing pains. It's a different game when you step up into the men's competition and stuff like that. And yeah, I just always loved it, man. I love the competition feeling. I enjoy the nerves. I enjoy the process. I love the ups and downs, and like no matter what, even like through having success, you're always gonna have those failures, right? And like competition in combat sports is like it's like a roller coaster of emotions and feelings. It's a roller coaster ride, man. Like if you can't take the drop down, you're not going to make yourself climb yourself back up, right? Like, yeah, through the trials and tribulations, the failures, the success, I've always loved it. And those failures, they weren't even really failures, right? Like, they gave me things that I need to work on. They kept me motivated. If I just always kind of won through the years, then I don't know if I'd still be doing it, right? Like, it's hard to stay motivated when you're always winning, right? So I don't mind those losses. Those losses, like, through the years and stuff like that. And still to this day, I still lose, you know. So um, yeah, they're just motivating for me to continue getting better. And even at my age now, I still feel like I get better, you know. And especially like um, doing karate combat now and fighting a few weeks ago at karate combat, just getting ready for that and just learning, like, working on my boxing, working on Muay Thai, working on like sweeps and throws and judo and stuff like that. I'm learning again, and learning again to me is fun. I love to learn, and I love to learn about martial arts, and I think I'm going to be like that for the rest of my life. Like, I'm obviously not going to compete for the rest of my life, but I'll always be a student. And for me to be able to continue to learn and grow as a martial artist is important for myself, and it'll be important for my students that I work with as well.
Absolutely. Again, I think there's a very valuable lesson there about continual improvements. The fact that we never stop learning until our last breath. Really, a lot of people think we do, but we don't. And when you love something, you can't help but continue to learn about it, kaizen, and all of that side of life principles. I love it. Absolutely love it. So obviously, in your career, you've accomplished a great deal. I listed out some of them at the beginning. There's a lot more. Competed all around the world, won these different titles, so on and so forth. Now, I know in a way this slightly contradicts what we were saying about continual improvement, but so far in your career, even if there's more to come, looking back, do you have a particular competition that you're the most proud of, or do you feel that is your favorite for some reason? When maybe it's more than one, but when you look back on that, is there anything that sticks out in your mind like that at all?
I really enjoyed two of them a lot. My WKC overall title. I think the first year that they did an overall title at the World Championships, the overall title is like you win your weight division, then you fight all the other gold medalists at the World Championships in the men's division. They opened it up in like 2010 or 2011, and I got second place like 4 years in a row at the overall finals. I'd lose in the overall finals 4 straight years, and it was very frustrating, right? I was just like, felt like I just couldn't get over that hump. And then in 2015, it was in Orlando, Florida, actually, and I finally got that win, man, and I was just like, it felt really, really good. And that was an awesome feeling to finally get over that hump at the end of the day and stuff as well. So that was a really big thing for me to accomplish. My WACO World title is really cool too, because I did my first WACO World Championships in 2003. I think I was like 16 or 17. It was in the men's division, and I ended up getting third. And at the time too, there was only like two other Canadians that had ever won a WACO World title, and then I couldn't go on because of personal issues in 2005, because it's every 2 years. And then so I didn't go in 2005, and in 2007 I went, and I ended up winning a gold medal. So that was pretty cool. To be like one of the third or fourth Canadian ever to win a WACO World title. So that was a cool one. But you know what though? Those are just pretty memorable for me. But a lot of my titles and stuff like that, I just they all mean something to me. There's always a different story behind every one of those big competitions. Like, sometimes, like, just dealing with certain things at home back in the day, or different training sessions, different opponents that I would fight too in those divisions, or for that in that tournament, right? Like, sometimes, like, you fight somebody who beat you the last few competitions, then you finally beat them. So every win has its place in my mind and stuff as well. So those were the two that really stick out to me, but all the other wins as well stick out. I'll remember most of them, and just like most of the fighters I've competed against as well through the years and stuff too.
Yeah. Again, it's a very brilliant insight into it, and there's a lot of lessons there about how it's improved you as a person. How you bounce back from defeats. There's a lot of different things that that we're touching on that are very very cool. That's pretty neat actually. Moving forward a little bit, one of the questions that comes up well, it comes up in pretty much every interview I do with some form of combat sport is about like the concept of toughest competitions or the toughest. And what I mean by this is this is a very fan friendly question that I think appeals more to fans of competition or fights than it appeals to other fighters because tough can come in many forms. Obviously, that can be technically tough, that can be power, that can be something that was going on outside of competition in your personal life. It comes in many forms. It's not literally always down to the opponent, but still, people always love to hear about what that was and how people overcome that and that type of thing. So, from a certain perspective, we've talked about the high points. This one is not so much a low point because you might well have overcome it, but it's still, surmounting an obstacle and overcoming that. So, toughest competition, in your own words, what would that be and why, please, champ?
Toughest competition. The hardest one for me was after my father passed away. He passed away at the end of 2004, early 2005. And my dad was at the time was one of my biggest supporters, right? He brought me to every karate tournament when I was a kid, and he passed away. And just getting back to a competition, and I did one like 2 or 3 months later, and that was really hard for me. Just kind of focusing in and just he loved the sport just like I did. He never did it right, but he would always support me, always bring me to my karate classes and stuff like that. So yeah, that was a really really tough obstacle to overcome and stuff like that. That was a tough one. But yeah, that was probably one of my toughest kind of obstacles before a competition and stuff like that too.
Mm. Yeah, I can understand that. Sorry for your loss, by the way, champ. I mean, that is not easy, and competing so soon after that is a very very brave thing to do. Um,
Thank you.
although I'm sure he's very proud of you. So
I
that's
appreciate that. Thank you, man.
Hey, no worries at all. I mean, it's just I tell you how it is. But yeah. So moving forward a little bit in time, one of the things that I think is very cool, and this was actually on a personal level, one of my early exposures to yourself and your career was there's quite a famous video that goes around down. And bearing in mind, I don't know the name of the kit because, maybe it has a name, but it was basically like, you literally flipped upside down and, knocked the guy out. And it was just like, I saw that. And don't get me wrong, I've heard like bits and pieces about your career because at the end of the day, I'm a martial arts and combat sports nut. So, anything I follow it. But at the same time, when I saw that, it was one of my early exposures. It was like, wow, like who is this guy? And delve into it. So with that competition, I'm going to do my best to insert the that video into this as well.
Awesome.
This, walk us through that in terms of. I don't really have one narrow question about it, but just in terms of like how you practice for that move, how it went down, what it's called.
so
I don't mind what you share, but let's get into it basically because it's amazing.
Yeah, like I'll throw a lot of spinning hook kicks, and not a lot, but I'll try to throw one or two, especially when I'm fighting a kicker, right? I'm shorter than a lot of the opponents that I compete against, so they all have to kick down, especially when they're pumping their leg. They pump kind of kick downwards to me. So I obviously first try to get my head out of the way, or get my head out of the way, not try, and then I spin and I try to time it where they're closing the distance for me. And a lot of times when people are kicking at you, they expect you to disengage and give them space. right? Like that's what most people do. But when people kick at me, I try not to give them space, right? If they you don't give them space, they don't have that they won't be able to extend their kicks. So I try to time it in between the re-chamber and the extension on the kick. And I've landed it quite a bunch. I landed that spinning hook kick a lot, but not all of them have connected in that sense. So it was just a perfect connection on that one, and it was caught on video, which is pretty cool because it has gone viral a few times. It's pretty funny to me, man. It makes me blush a little bit. But no, it was just perfect timing. You could get execution and landed on the right spot at the time, and it was caught on video.
Yeah, it was really really amazing, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I figured that obviously in your career, given the length of time that you've been competing and the level of elite competitions you've been in, and so on and so forth, there's bound to be other things like that. But but at the same time, that one was it's just something special, man. I mean, it was
Yeah, it was.
yeah,
Yeah, it was like
you're
once
very
in a lifetime
humble.
kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly once in a lifetime, and you're very humble about it, but it was really, it really went out there. And when I saw it, it had some crazy amount of views on it, and I can't remember what it was. But I remember seeing it, and at the time, and I was actually at a hotel, and I was staying somewhere for work, and I just saw it on Instagram. And I was like, wow, I need to speak to this guy. So anyway, so that's something special. One of the things that does come over a lot with yourself is you're very obviously a very humble individual, despite everything you've accomplished, and I mean that as a compliment.
Thank
You
you.
touched earlier on sort of the mental side of competition a bit with loving to learn and everything, but you also touched on it a little bit with you mentioned something about sort of enjoying the nerves or enjoying some of the, not so much the pressure, but the sort of adrenaline or however you interpret it of competition, which leads me to something that I think is very interesting about competition, about combat sports, about this type of thing, the mental side of it, because people talk about the physical training, which I will get into with you, by the way. But before we do, talking about your mental approach to competition, on the immediate build up to one or whatever. What is going through your mind, when you've got a big competition coming up? How do you mentally prepare? Just want to get into that side of it a little bit, basically.
Yeah, like I'm big on like visualization and stuff like that. Just visualizing good things, visualizing, um, yeah, good moments. Like I try not to like everyone's gonna have doubts. No matter if people say they don't have doubts, everybody has doubts. Yeah, like I'm firm on that. Like doubts will always cross. It's just human nature. Little doubts here and there are part of the game, or at least they are for me. And like, I think that's just human nature and life in general. I just try to block those out. Just visualize good things happening, me getting my hand raised, me being successful. That's the biggest thing for me. And I just believe if I just have a good self belief in myself that with my work ethic, I work hard, I train super hard, I eat well, I'm at home a lot, I spend time with my son, I spend time with my fiance, I spend time with my family, and I don't do going to go out very often, like I just spend time at home, family, the gym, I'm teaching, and I'm just I believe if you work hard enough at something, good things happen. No matter what you're doing in life, if you work hard at something, you believe in yourself, good things happen. And yeah, just as long as I work hard and I'm confident in my preparation, those doubts get smaller and smaller and far and few in between. And ever since I was kind of a teenager, I just had this self belief. If I work hard enough at something, I'm gonna be successful. And I live by that to this day. If I keep working hard, I mean, at anything, I'm gonna continue to have success. And yeah, just the nerves and stuff is just they got to me a little bit when I was younger, but I've been doing it forever and I have a lot of experience, and like I kind of learned how to like harness the nerves and kind of put them into my favor, use it as extra adrenaline, extra motivation, and just extra little energy in the moment. And not everyone can do that, right? But it's a learning process, right? It comes through experience, it comes through dealing with nerves, pressure, people watching you, people being there, and some people put good things in your ear, some people put bad things in your ear, so it's just learning how to harness it and just get that tunnel vision. And it honestly, it comes through experience. It takes time to develop. And yeah, we're just developing that, how to harness those outside distractions, that adrenaline, the pressure, the nerves. Makes a big difference in that self-belief through my work ethic. That kind of that's what kind of where my mindset is at.
Yeah. I love that because, as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the things I love to get into is sort of some of the deeper aspect of the life lessons and the things you can apply. And obviously, that element of growth and how competition has improved you as a person and sort of building that resistance to it over time and everything. It's a very powerful life lesson there that people can apply to anything that they want to be good at, as well as whether it's competition or anything else. Also, for competition, living a good life outside of competition, living a balanced life, absolutely essential. And I think a lot of people overlook that. So some really, really good points there. Really, really, really good points. So moving into a few other areas that just to give people sort of a diverse view, because bear in mind now some people watching this will know all about like karate competitions and how it works, and some people it'll be like some of their first exposure to this side of things or to you as a person. So I'm sort of trying to balance a bit of both, just so you know.
Yep.
But yeah, in terms of the traveling aspect as well. Actually, before we get into that, I'll get into best locations in a minute. But before we do, your physical training, I mean, just to touch on it a little bit, because I've seen some very cool videos. There's one on your Instagram with um, sort of like a dummy or that sort of effect, where it's like
Yeah.
way, way taller than you, and you're absolutely kicking, holy hell out of this thing, and all the rest of it. But in terms of your training, for people who don't know necessarily what training is like for karate and for this type of thing, and as you mentioned earlier about bringing the Muay Thai and bringing other sports into it, walk us through a little bit about your regime. I mean, it's probably evolved over the years that you've been competing in, but getting an insight into that, I think, would be awesome, because people see the competition, but they don't see always what goes on, behind the scenes, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, so for my karate combat debut, that was my latest competition, right? So I'll just kind of talk about my schedule and my training camp. So my training camp was about 8 to 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks long. I would do strength and conditioning, like weights and plyometrics and all that fun stuff, about twice a week or so. I would do mid sessions with my coaches 2 to 3 times a week. I would spar once to twice a week, run hills, run sprints, and yeah, and then spar and stuff like that. So I probably worked out probably 40. I worked out 5 to 6 days a week, depending on how my body felt, and about half of those were 2 a days, and some of them were even all five were 2 a days and stuff as well too. So that's hard. That takes a lot of discipline as well too, right? Like how people can think they can get away with training once a day, right? Like sometimes it might work out for you, sometimes it won't, right? Like I said, that my self belief comes from trying to outwork my opponents and trying to outwork other people, and just yeah, I would try probably about 5 to 6 days a week, depending on how my body felt. And most of those days, like 4 of those days at least, were twice a day training sessions. So yeah, it's pretty tiring. It's pretty tiring. It's mentally tiring as well as physically tiring. But like I said, it all depends on how bad you want something and how much you want to be successful. And if you want to be successful, then and if you're motivated and disciplined, then you will do the things that are necessary to achieve the success that you want to achieve. You're gonna get out of it what you put in, and I'm a firm believer in that.
Mm. Yeah, that's another great lesson for people right there. I mean, there's actually quite a few sort of punctuated through this talk, which is very cool. But yeah, it's a really good insight. And for some people, it's a mysterious world. I mean, for other competitors who know about this stuff, it's their daily life. But for a lot of people, it's a mysterious world, and they might see the competition, but they don't always see the dedication. And other athletes who are watching this will know, but for the fans, they won't always know, and I cater for both. So that's always interesting to get into with anyone I interview, whether it's boxing, MMA, kickboxing, whatever it is. So it's very cool. So one of the things I mentioned just now was about the traveling aspect, because on one of the sort of perks of the job, if you like, or one of the cool things that you
It
get to
really is.
go all over the world, basically. So, in terms of some of the places you really enjoyed visiting, some of the warmest welcomes you've received, or anything of that nature, that really your own reasons for why you've enjoyed that place. What are some of the best places you've visited? And again, that's no disrespect to anywhere else, but just your personal favorites that you really enjoyed.
What one place that I really enjoy, even going to this day, I love going to Germany. I love the people there. I love the food. I just, yeah, I love it. I just love Germany. Germany is one of my favorite places. I used to just go and like I have some really good friends there, and some summers I would just go when I was younger. I would just go for 3 weeks and just hang out in Germany. I fell in. I would think I first went when I was like 20 years old and visit my friends. And then I think for like 6 years straight, 7 years straight, I would go for like 2, 3 weeks every summer. That was Germany is one of my favorite places. I love going to Italy. Italy is absolutely stunning. Greece is beautiful. I love going to England. Everyone's super cool. Every place I've been to has something memorable about it. Yeah, I love traveling. I've gotten to go to a lot of countries like through martial arts and stuff like that. I'm super blessed to be able to do the things and see the places I've gotten to see. But yeah, those are just like a couple handfuls of the countries I really like visiting, and I also visit like on my own afterwards and stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very cool to be able to see the world like that, and sort of get see the heart and soul of different countries as well, which is absolutely amazing. Talking about, I mean, the highs and lows of competition. I'm a very positive guy, so I focus on mostly on the highs and the positive moments. But in terms of the theme of overcoming adversity, which we touched on earlier, one of the things that I sometimes get into is, are there any, in your career, have you had many injuries, or many things like that you've had to overcome? Because the thing is, you like a very successful guy, but like a lot of combat sports athletes, competitors, you could pass a lot of them in the street and not know that they're a fighter. And I don't mean that with any disrespect. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
people do their talking in the competition. Most guys are very humble, and you're no different. But at the same time, have you had um, any basically bad things happen to your body in all the years that you've been doing this?
Yeah, I've had knee surgery in the past. I partially tore my Achilles, and I've had hand surgery, and I've broken my nose a handful of times. The nose is crooked, as you guys can see, but my hand, my Achilles, and my knee, were all super good bad injuries that my knee and my hand needed to be surgically repaired. They're all better now. Like my body's good to go. Like my hand was about, I think my last bad injury was 4 years ago, 3, 4 years ago when I had hand surgery. I broke my thumb pretty bad and it ripped the ligament off my thumb or off the bone. So they had to repair that. My Achilles was probably about 4 or 5 months of recovery as well and stuff like that. So those are some of those are the main ones that I've had to overcome and stuff like that. But my knee was like 12 years ago, so that's kind of way in the past a little bit. But my hand was the most recent one, and that was about 3 years ago now. That was about out for about 3, 4 months, and then for a little while after, I was scared to hit anything hard with it or make good contact with it because it was pretty painful for a while. But I got through it. That was a tough one to get through, but made it through, and it's good as new. It's good as new. Doesn't give me any problems anymore and stuff like that. But for a little while afterwards, I was conscious about it. I was careful about it. But so those are just things that take time. You just once you crack something once with your hand and you realize that nothing's gonna happen, then kind of get over that fear a little bit. But yeah, just those little injuries, not little injuries, they're all pretty serious injuries. But yeah, they always have a little bit of fear because I know about just like I said earlier, everyone has a little bit of doubts and especially coming back from those three injuries, like you don't know if you're going to be the same competitor, the same person. You don't know if you're going to be able to still fight at that or compete at that same level. But give the thank to God and my recovery and stuff like that that I'm still able to fight at an elite level and compete at an elite level.
Absolutely. I mean, it's again, it's bouncing back from adversity, and I'm glad to hear that those things are, healed up. And
Thank you, man.
yeah, in that way. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's not a lot really obvious that you compete at the highest level physically, but I mean, maybe the nose a little bit, but nothing much in that. But you wouldn't really guess. But it's just interesting to get into that side of it as well. Um,
Absolutely.
Cool. The only other thing that's on that sort of wavelength of not downbeat, but just the highs and the lows, is about like if there's anything in your career that you would have done differently or anything that you have not so much as regrets because I think that you seem to have the philosophy of learning from these things, which is probably the best way. But at the same time, to give people a sort of a balanced view of it, is there anything that you look back on it you think I would have done that differently here or there, or is there not much of that stuff for you really?
Um, No, I'm a firm believer. Like I look back at my career and what I've accomplished and what I've done, and I'm happy with what I've been able to accomplish and what I've done. And I don't think I'd change a thing, to be honest. Like yeah, looking back, everything happens for a reason, and everything comes to you when things are meant to be, right? And I'm a firm believer in that. And honestly, looking back, I don't think I'd change a thing.
Yeah, that's cool. I sort of got that vibe actually. And again, I know I keep saying this, but it is a good lesson there because um, there's that old adage of you win or you learn or whatever. But even though it sounds sort of cheesy, the concept of the continual improvement, the concept of you can learn from everything in life, the good experiences, the bad experiences, and they all contribute to who we are today and who we've grown into, is sort of a really good point as well. So that's fair enough.
Absolutely.
Moving into the other side of it, which is your, um, to the best of my knowledge, sort of teaching and coaching and passing on your knowledge. And you'll have to fill me in on this a little bit because I don't know as much about what you do in this regard as I do about your achievements. But um, yeah, in terms of teaching, coaching, giving your knowledge back, that is something I have so much respect for when elite people who've, made it to the top of the mountain in their chosen pursuit give back to those people that are starting out or those people who want to improve. So can you share with us a little bit about what you do in that regard, basically, and how that's working for you?
Yeah, so I'm one of the head instructors at Diverse Martial Arts here in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I teach 5 days a week. In the evenings from about 4 till 9. I work with kids as young as 4, all the way up to people who are in their 60s. And we have regular students who just want to get in shape, learn self defense and stuff like that. But we also have a competition team of young children, teenagers, and adults as well. And yeah, I love teaching, man, and like I love teaching. I love handing back and handing it down to the next generation, rather than either being competition wise or just life skill wise as well. And if I didn't have martial arts and my instructors and my karate school when I was a kid, I don't know where I'd be at today, right? And it's just like they gave me light when I was a kid, and they helped guide me in my life, and like, and it's my turn to do the same thing, you know. And I love teaching, and like once my career of competing is done, I'll still be at competitions, but I'll be there as a coach and as a mentor, as a friend, and just somebody that can help them with the process as well, right? And I hope my students and a lot of my students that get to have the same success and the same adventures and the same same kind of like lifestyle, not lifestyle, but same kind of joys that I've had out of martial arts and all the cool experiences that I've gotten to have. And like I feel like if I don't give them that opportunity, then I'm just kind of wasting some of my abilities as well. Like my abilities are I can compete and I love to teach. And if I can give them some kind of experience or some kind of knowledge that they can get better and get to a certain level and get to some of the success I've had, that then I'll be happy, and it makes me a better human to be able to give back and stuff like, or it makes me feel like a better human that I get to give back in a certain sense as well and help them experience some of the awesome things that I've gotten to experience in my life because of martial arts as well.
Yeah. I love that, man. I mean, I've got so much respect for that, for what you're doing, giving back, and it's such a valuable thing. As I said at the beginning, as well as the sporting side of it, just from passing on your ethos and then, some of the experiences you've been through, you're teaching people about life as well, and you're sort of guiding people with that. So I really think it's an incredibly valuable pursuit, and I'm not just saying that like to be polite or anything. I mean, as I say, when people are giving back like that, it is wonderful. That's not even a question. It's just I got so much respect, so much time for that.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, no worries at all. We've been talking for like 45 minutes, and it's flown by. I mean, it's really gone quick in a flash. From my side, I don't know about you. I think
Absolutely.
you've got into sort of a good point of like the highs and lows of your career, your past, present, and future. I think as well as some of the deeper things. So in terms of that, I think we've given people a good insight, and I think that I'm very happy with the material we've got, and you shared some absolutely fantastic information and lessons and stories and all of it. So the last thing for me to do before we wrap this up, the last question is really to give a shout out to your supporters around the world. I mean, you're a very humble person. So you said earlier that when the one spinning kick went viral, you sort of it makes you blush and all that sort of thing. But when you get that support around the world, as I mentioned, some of the people watching this first time they've heard of you maybe or first exposure. Some people watching this or listening to this, they'll know all about you and they might have been supporting you for years. So for those people, um, what would you say to them? What does their support mean to you? I'd just like to get your thoughts on that side of it to give them a mention as the last, to close out basically.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for the support. It means a lot, and it's a great compliment that um I've had the support through my career and stuff like that. You guys are great. You give me um just a little boost of confidence at competitions and stuff. So it's like that as well. And yeah, I just want to say thank you, and thank you for the continued support. And I hope you guys continue to follow me and follow my career.
Yeah, I'm sure they will because I know you've accomplished a lot, but there's a lot more to come as well. So
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
no, the future's very bright, I think, and I'm not just saying that. And I mean, there's more years of competition there, but even when those are done, obviously you've got the teaching and you've got the continual improvement of martial arts and of yourself personally. But no, champ, honestly, it's been a pleasure. It's
The
been
pleasure's all mine.
it's been super fun, and it's gone by really, really fast. So, as I say, last thing for me to say, like I said at the beginning, big thank you for your time, and big thank you for taking the time out of your day for this. I do appreciate that from the heart. Thank you.
My pleasure. Anytime, man.
Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.